Hello and welcome to today's Event Tech Take. I'm Vanessa Lovatt, the founder of Event Tech World, and I am joined today by the brilliant Liz Whittingham from GovNet. Liz, hi, welcome.
Hello.
Please tell us who you are.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this, to putting tech worlds to rights as such. So I currently work for GovNet and I head up the operations and CX experience, really focus on the customer journey around our exhibitors and operational delivery of our events.
Awesome. And we have had some serious tech challenges in the last 20 minutes getting to this point. If we're a little giggly, that's because we've almost had to abandon ship on this, but we're going to give it a go and hopefully get some recording. And so, Liz, you've been involved in your own words, a technology transformation and have been really instrumental in this. And you've got to the point now where actually the technology that's being used is, and I'm paraphrasing you a little bit here, but it's day-to-day normal now. It's just the way that you guys do business. So give us a little insight into this and what that actually means in practice, because technology transformation is so generic and could mean many different things to different people.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, technology transformation means that our customer journeys mirror our internal workflows. So it means that our customer journeys are going to be getting the most out of coming to our event or perhaps being exposed to one of our products or our communities. And in hand, our internal workflows manage that technology seamlessly. They know what role it plays in their day to day. They know how to get information and they know what to do with that information. So it comes into effect after, COVID, where all organisers were navigating the challenges and when our bottom line revenue kind of took a big dip overnight and the entire industry kind of came to a halt. And from really 2021 to 2023, it was about seeking the opportunities that were out there with technology. A lot of people within operations use technology day to day and they wouldn't say they've got a technical mindset or perhaps have that kind of QA skill set or product skill set, but actually in operations you do, and you're probably using technology to your advantage every single day, not only internally but using platforms for your customers, especially within events, because you want everything at your fingertips. So how we did that was really just simplifying all of the customer journeys. We started with revenue. We looked at the source of truth of data, which is a CRM system. There's so many out there, but they all have their differences, but they do essentially do what it says on the tin. That's your customer data. We take that data, we put it into the various platforms that we're using to boost our engagement across the entire personas of people who come to our events, whether it be exhibitors, visitors, even contractors who want information to be really, really simple now. And we then built out internal workflows. So instead of everything being technical into one team or one work stream, everyone had a race sheet mapped out in front of them, how content can influence day to day through technology, how marketing can embed their funnel throughout various stages, how client relations, who I currently work with really closely, can embed little technology nuggets, that simple information. And we just did it like that. We took a simple approach, we broke it down very operationally, and now, touch wood, it's part of everyone's day to day.
So simplification, really important. I love the phrase, little technology nuggets. LTNs, I'm going to roll with that. I really like that. The reason I like it is it's actually almost the exact opposite to technology transformation, which makes you go, it gives you the slight heebie-jeebies, doesn't it? Whereas actually then saying it was all about simplification and little technology nuggets, it's just so much more accessible and makes a lot more sense.
Exactly, it does. And I think, we do work in an industry which is very agile. Some people also might say it's quite volatile and it's changing based on customer behaviours. And with the introduction of AI, the remote workforce, a lot of changes has come into play with our customer behaviours. So we need to, act as quick as the market does by not adding layers using technology. Anything that we add or want to introduce, if it doesn't improve either ROI, potentially, revenue opportunity or something that kind of complements that experience, then we park it. We don't bother adding complexity if it makes sense and it would fit into people's workload and work streams and their day-to-day responsibilities, absolutely. But if it doesn't, we just continue to
Yeah.
park it and pick it up when it's needed.
So 3-ish years, I think you said this has been running over. Actually, it was longer. 2021
Yeah,
to
longer.
23 was the start, but then since then you've been bedding this in. So if you were to go back in time and be able to give
Mhm.
yourself advice in maybe let's go right back to 2021, which was still kind of shit show territory for everybody in the events industry. What what would you have done differently?
I probably would have taken a big pause. I think what I would tell myself or others 3 years ago is to look at your data and make sure it's clean
Yes.
before kind of prioritizing maybe a shiny new feature or a shiny new platform and taking that platform and making it work with your data. Your data has to work with the platform. So I'd probably have that reverse mindset. Definitely do not try to launch everything. So when you work with a really good SaaS platform or a WPA or, the latest event technology provider out there, you get to see the jazz hands and you want those jazz hands. You want to grab them and go, yeah, that's going to improve my exhibitor sentiment, my customer sentiment. Oh, it's actually going to improve my internal workflows. But less is more. So take that tool and kind of work in, again, a simplified way. Use the bare minimums, create that framework. And then over time, as you see your engagement metrics increase, whether that be for your customers or that internal confidence and competence, then that's when you can add the bolt-ons, which
Yeah.
usually come with an extra price. um,
But you're probably going to get the value at
to get
that
the
stage.
value. Yeah,
Whereas if you try it all in one go, it's harder to get the value quickly. So yes, it may come with extra price, but if you've got those foundations in, you have a greater
absolutely.
chance of going in place.
Absolutely. And you always want to look at value adds. So I think the third thing I would do is focus on adoption and then the features, because value adds and long-term gains, especially if you can kind of capex it, will come from focusing on adoption and adding those features over time and as quickly as your customers need, or maybe as slowly as your customers need. I think often as organisers, you want let's say your exhibitors, our user exhibitor journey, you want them to get the best ROO. So you want them to be able to really focus on their, objectives when they're coming on site rather than that initial investment at that point of confirmation. I would really kind of think what they actually want and what their day to day looks like, because often when an exhibitor comes on site, that is a small percentage of their day to day. It probably actually only comes into play maybe 6 months, 9 months out from that event. So think about the customer and have that customer centric mindset and only launch a feature when you know it's going to really add value.
And probably when it's needed rather
And
than
when
you
it's needed.
good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, nice. So confidence and competence, two
Hmm.
words that I feel like I say those two words regarding event tech 10 times a day. So
Yeah.
yes, agree with you on that. But very interesting to hear you talk about adoption,
Hmm.
because in my event tech world journey, see this a lot, that the time allocated for adopting either new tools or adopting new features in existing tools. Some companies don't always allocate enough time, enough resource. I would also say senior level enough resource sometimes as well, to making sure that the adoption and then the rollout is really has a chance of succeeding, actually. And I see a little bit too often we bought this fancy new tool. That's unfair. I'm being patronizing. We bought this fab tool that we're really excited about. It's going to be transformational. Switch it on.
Yeah. Turn it
I'm
on, toggle it on,
exaggerating a
toggle
little
it
bit.
off, toggle it
Toggle it
on.
on.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of what an
Yeah.
adoption or rollout program has looked like for you in practice? How long it ran over? By the way, viewers, I haven't asked Liz this question in preparation, so she has not prepared for this answer. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Who's involved?
So you've hit the spot there. For you to really form a good adoption program, it starts within, and you need to map out that time. So you work with a supplier. And the supplier will say, it's really quick to be accredited. It's really quick to use this tool. It's off the shelf. And it is, because their CPO knows how to use that product. They've built that product. They live and breathe it. But it's going to be a percentage of your team members day to day. So what I recommend and actually apply in practice is, I'm a big believer in train the trainer mentality. So I'll take a use case that actually we're currently working on. So it's very fresh. We launched something for our exhibitors about 8 weeks ago. However, the business case started probably about 18 months ago. So we found a really good provider. We worked on the business case, and that business case was done by leadership or the management team, kind of identifying how it would improve ACV, improve CX, improve optimization when it comes to resource levels and their day-to-day output. And then it was a case of building it out with a small knit group. So making sure you've got the right people. So we had people from data, we had people from client relations who are essentially going to be responsible for this tool, because in the company that I currently work for, our client relations team is absolutely fundamental in the success of post-sale care. So everything from onboarding to advocacy. And we want to keep that human to human connection. It's very unique and something we want to keep alive. We worked with someone like myself who could kind of map that operational journey on, this is also going to impact content. It's also going to impact marketing. It might also impact the way we sequence our emails through our CRM, because we now need to include X, Y, and Z. We're going to have to add info to our website. So we brought a small group together. We tested that tool. We built out a framework for everything we needed to get set up. And we actually then did it ourselves. So instead of kind of saying, we've got a tool, here it is, guys, sign the contract, which I like to do, sign the contract, and then please go forth and use the tool. We didn't do that. We made sure there was only 3 to 4 people really working on that first build for our POC, which is coming up in May, because it means that everyone who is involved in training other users to use that tool and essentially be super users, we know the bugs. We know, oh, if you click that, actually this happens. Oh, I didn't save that. Oh, I turned on the wrong fields for the integration. So we really believe in the train the trainer mentality, where we will do and we will act upon our words. And then we can really form out a plan on how to implement that across the business and make it successful. We don't only build the business cases, we will also go into live mode, test the bugs, form, any blockers, and then share really openly with other users how this is going to impact them and what it actually means to their day.
Yeah.
So client relations will be able to say, we now own this. It's going to take X% of our week in these critical times. And that's how adoption can form. Again, in that simplistic form. I don't mean to keep on saying simplicity, but I think in the events industry, you have to keep things simple.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also something you said around the timeframes, which I think is interesting, which are long timeframes in a nutshell. They're long. And again, the events industry, we're not great at long timeframes. We are
No, we don't like it.
And I love that about this industry, right? We are really like, got an idea, bang, let's go, let's make this happen, people. And that's what we're really good at. But when it comes to tech, that actually can be a little bit of a backward step as opposed to a forward step. So I really like that time frame that you shared, which was about 18 months, because I think as soon as you start to change your viewpoint on how long might this take, it might not be what you want. You might want to have it up and running the next month, but if you're actually not going to be able to get it up and running the next month, then that's going to lead to either team frustration or customer frustration or team burnout even.
Absolutely.
Then no good can come from that, really.
Yeah.
I think 2 more questions, but I often say that and then have more.
Let's do it.
You talked about suppliers.
Yes.
And you said something I find very refreshing, and I would love, actually, if there are any suppliers watching this, I'd love to hear your take on this. You talked about bugs as if that's just part of the way things are. There's just the fact tech comes with bugs sometimes, and you seem very relaxed, chilled about it, which I think is a good thing. If you were able to give some advice to suppliers, so let's say there are 20 suppliers watching this right now, what message would you give them? What's one message that you'd like to be really taken seriously by a serious buyer of event technology?
I'm going to give 2. I know you said 1, but I'm going to give 2. It's really listening to the organizer and being able to work with the organizer on their KPIs, their objectives, and essentially the end results that will come from it. I'd like to see a flip in, this is the tool and this is what it can do for the customer, which is very, very important, to actually how that happens and how you can apply that, especially in an environment where, teams aren't always growing, and teams need to be adapting to different ways of working and kind of scoping their JDs all the time. So working with organisers on listening to them and pitching how it is going to really benefit not only the customer but the organizer, because having a new tool, you've got to cut through the noise. There's so many suppliers out there that it's really hard to cut through the noise, and unless you're going to do an RFP with scoping questions that range over 200 for every single supplier and every single demo, you start to be a little bit disengaged when you see a shiny tool. And this may be a bit controversial, and I think all providers that I've worked with today, even providers that I no longer work with, I might in the future, I think everyone is worth their weight in gold. Technology generally does enhance customer experiences regardless. Yes, there might be friction, but there's always going to be friction. And that's why organisers do have to remain calm when there's a technical issue, because you would take the same approach. Let's say, Vanessa, what we were talking about, your car's not working right now. Yesterday I was in A&E for a couple of hours. One of those things, you just have to remain calm. Things happen all the time. So take the same approach in your workplace, that if your Tesco shop is wrong, likely your platform bug will be exactly the same to the customer. It might be a tiny inconvenience. It will feel more for the organizer than it does for the customer.
Yeah.
But the controversy is when you are listening to organisers will often have a lot of ideas in how they integrate that platform with other elements of their event or journey. And often you'll put in an RFC like, oh, we need a change to maybe the way that you do time zoning, the way that you integrate AI bots using our infrastructure versus yours, because it makes sense. Customers want to hear about the whole event rather than maybe your registration platform or your exhibitor portal or your event management tool. And when you're going to make a development, really question, is it fair to charge that organizer for those development hours, because you're going to launch it and you're going to use it for all of our other customers?
Yep.
And I just think organisers are really transparent with pricing and, third parties. And I'd love to see that change in the future, that a good idea is a good idea taken with faith. And if it is going to change the way that business offers a feature or maybe a different way of working, is it right to charge the organizer?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good. Send us your thoughts.
Controversy. Yeah.
Seriously, I do mean that, because I'd love to create some content on the back of this. And I know pricing, really interestingly, Liz, it was November last year at Event Tech Live. We were given a space for a meetup, and we had a mixture of buy side and sell side. And we all shared our biggest frustrations about buying and using tech, or about selling the tech. And everybody so we broke out suppliers and buyers, and it was almost all the same challenges. So the supplier was just as frustrated by the challenges around pricing. I've got a massive doc I'm writing on that.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's an interesting time. And I think the more we evolve together, the better it's going to be for each other, but the industry as well. Right. I said I had 2 questions. I already thought of 2 more, so I'm going to try
let's
to
keep
be really
going.
quick. You did say integrations then, which is actually, that was my original last question. It's now my second to last question. How integrations, I think this is most organisers' biggest challenge on the whole. We want everything to be integrated. We want all of the platforms to talk to each other. We want data to pass in all directions. The want isn't there, but the resource to do all of that is rarely there. And sometimes just the technical competency, so connected to resource. How did you guys approach we want to have an integrated, well-performing stack, but we're a normal business. We have some limitations. How did you approach that?
I think it goes back to my answer at the start. We started with the revenue source of truth. Having that really tight-knit CRM, I'm going to be honest, it sometimes gives me a bit of the ick when it's like trash in, trash out. We say that all the time. We're hearing it everywhere, but it is true. So it's focusing on your CRM if you have one. And if you don't, this is the time to get one. Because there are a lot of organisers, small businesses, SMEs, startups that actually don't have a CRM system, and you build something and then you can take it somewhere. But it was just starting with our CRM. It is very well known. It is one of the largest providers out there for a CRM. And luckily, a lot of those come with already nice package integrations that are available. I will, completely hold my hands up. My team is not responsible for integration or,
And
you
more
know, the
probably should
API.
they be?
And no, I think, yeah, if that would create me not being as calm as I am today. But you have to make sure that you've got someone or a team or a big group in the business that are responsible for that data, and everything is a simple toggle on. You can integrate most likely your CRM system with everything. That improves rebook, that improves your registration data, which improves your event management platform. You know, there's only really about 5 to 10 event management platforms that are out there that are most likely used by major organisers across the globe. But you just integrate from I'm making it sound really easy, but I generally see it to be quite easy. That you have a CRM, you go through the integration map, you see what journeys that's going to perhaps disjoint, and if there's going to be problems, then that's why you lean on your data team for their expertise, who can clean the data and solve the data. My only worry that comes with integrations is the opt-in and opt-out. So if we're integrating in many different places, oh no, have I lost you? I might just be speaking at everyone now. I've lost her. I'm just going to stop speaking now.
Hi, sorry about that.
Hi there. You're just going to have a video of me talking and then I stop and then I
Don't
carry
worry.
on working.
That's fine. Let's just, because I can edit all this out relatively
Fine.
easily.
Great.
So let's park that
What was
one,
I saying?
and
Park that one. Good.
I'll recover whatever
Get
I
rid of that.
can, and if I can't, I'll just cut that question.
Yeah, get rid of that one.
Last question for you then, Liz. And this is my last question.
Right. It better be.
You're coming to not far off the end of this role that you are currently in, and you're going to be moving on to a new organizer. So my question for you is, for any head of operations, what advice would you give to them when they're starting a new role, discovering a new event tech stack, which is what you're about to do? What are your thoughts?
Oh, that's a really good one. So I think for anyone who has operations within their skill set, you need to see technology as part of your skills. I think often people within operations and CX talk so much about the customer and the bringing our event operations to life that you think technology isn't part of your day to day, but it is. And know that's a real good skill to have, and know that kind of like does make you a ninja in our industry, because you're able to pick up things incredibly quickly. You've always got that kind of curious mindset where you're able to learn technology and see that as essentially like part of your contract and your kind of obligations within the workplace. I would say always put process first. So when you're looking at adding the next best thing, improving your revenue lines, your customer experience, or perhaps, you know, just giving back to customers in a different way, always look at the process. Can you do it? If the answer is yes, great. Is it going to help you reduce time spent in certain areas of the business? Yes. And is it going to really, really support what those customers really need? And just kind of ask those simple questions anytime you go into conversations, because you can get so excited. I get excited all the time about the next best thing, or I'm currently playing around with Claude just in my spare time with the co-work, and it blows my mind. And you can get so excited that you just look at the platform
This
and what
is
you can
why
do.
we get
But
on so well, Liz.
pause. Yeah, because I'm saying pause, but I do get very distracted in my personal life, and I'm sure I can use those skills in the place that I'm going to next. But just know that you have the technical skills to apply, even if you don't know it yet. Just work with people like yourself or suppliers or people within data and get to learn the things that you don't know, because then it becomes less scary. And make sure you can always apply a process that improves not only your customer experience, which is, you know, the most important in the business, but equally mirror that with your own team and your resource across the business.
So the operations role has really evolved in the last 10 years.
Hugely. And it's only going to evolve quicker than ever. But you have to see that as an opportunity. And if you ever get that kind of like fear in your brain, which everyone does, it's natural. Take a breath and go, right, okay, how am I going to achieve this? How am I going to excite my team? How am I going to motivate customers to engage with the tool that's going to essentially make them get the most out of
Which
the
can be
event?
hard.
And it can be hard, and it is hard. You know, it is hard, but you have to take that level of hardness like a bug.
Yeah.
Be calm, composed, and always just remember, if it doesn't work, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Actually, I
Yeah.
had a situation not long ago where we were about to roll out. It was a new platform, and we got to. It was actually. I know this sounds horrifying, but it was 3 weeks before the event, and decided it's not going to work for this event. We're going
It's
to
not going to work.
press pause, go back to what we would have done previously, and we will revisit this.
Yeah,
It wasn't a wasted exercise. The learnings were still tremendous, but we made the
absolutely.
right call to call time on it and not progress, which was hard, but it was the right thing.
Yeah, it's hard. But even if you don't go forward with something, the learning and that exposure you or your teams would have is never a wasted exercise. It's probably given them something that they're taking to their next project.
Absolutely.
Um, and with technology, you never really embed it into your go-to-market plans or your value props because technology is expected.
Yeah.
So again, use that when you're saying no to something or not right now, let's do it in 6 months or 9 months. Just know your customer likely wouldn't
Yeah.
have been aware.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But lots to come for operations. And thank you for this lovely time together. I'm glad we
No
made it
worries,
through.
Liz. You have been amazing. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank you.
coming and imparting some of your experience for our members to learn from. We will no doubt see you at a meetup soon. And
Yes.
thank you again. This has been wonderful.
Oh, amazing. Right. Have a good day. And thanks for
Okay.
watching. Bye.